And hello. Hopefully that's... Oh, microphone's wrong. Hold on. Gotta move the microphone up. Microphone is not in position. One moment. Microphone moving into position. Closer. I need a checklist or something for this. There we go. Okay. That's much better. Hello, everyone. So it is time for Workshop Wednesday, in this case, cooking. We're going to try making some mochi, which are a classic dish, actually a dessert, basically a hot bun. We're going to try that. There is a steaming portion of it, which will take a while, so I don't know what that's going to do. I don't know what we're going to do during that time, specifically, but let's see. So we're going to start with 1 cup of mochi, which is a sweet rice flour. And we're going to do, oh good, this actually has some weight measurements here. But you know what, I'm going to go with what they list up there, because I think that's going to be closer to how most folks do it. So I've got, I'm going to start with a cup. In fact, let me use a more precise measure. Will be a measuring cup like this. I can level it off instead of using a glass like this where I have to kind of fiddle with it. So I'm going to do a cup of mochi flour, which we're doing right here. So there's our cup of flour, and that's going right into our a mixing bowl here, a stand mixer. Then I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of water. I'm going to use tap water for this. I actually have filtered water, but I'm not in the mood to play around right now with that. Okay. I'm going to put that in there, and we're going to mix it. Using a straight paddle there. So if this is still too dry, you can add some more water. But I'm assuming I'm looking for a dough, like a paste. The problem with recipes is, like, if it's too dry, what does too dry mean? I have no idea. But I'm assuming I want a soft but reasonably sticky dough. That is definitely a soft dough. Not dry at all, so I think we're good. And we're going to steam that in a steamer. So the issue here is that my steamer, I have a little rice cooker here. Let's move this out of the way. There we go. So I have this little rice cooker steamer, which I'm going to use. But obviously it's very small, and I need a container inside that for the dough. Fortunately, the dough is fairly small. So we're going to steam this. If I use this bowl, unfortunately it fills up the entire steamer, which I think is not good. I have this smaller bowl, which I'm hoping is going to be a decent size. So let's go ahead and put... There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just scoop out this dough. Yeah, I don't have a good sense. Ooh, actually, I'm going to use a scraper here, a spatula, flexible spatula, because that way I can really get in to all of these nooks and crannies, or crooks and nannies, as I used to say as a kid. So we will get that in there. So I'm just going to scoop out this dough into this bowl. It's very wet. It's actually not very wet, but it is very soft, definitely. Good, that does fit into that small bowl. Again, I do not have a really great sense of what this should be in terms of consistency, but I'm going to go with that. And then take this off. You put some water in the bowl. Basically, it's not going to matter too much how much. I'm going to more or less fill it up, because then the steamer will go on top of that. And obviously, you don't want to have to refill that. So in fact, I'll probably add a little bit more. There we go. So the steamer goes here, as you can see, and then our mochi goes right there on the top. So there's our mochi in the steamer. So now we're going to plug that in, put the lid on. That actually fits very nicely. And we're going to start steaming that. So again, this takes 20 minutes. Now, you basically have to sit here for the next 20 minutes. That's down, good. So I'm just setting a timer. And I'm just going to set that off to the side. In fact, I wonder is there a way I can show that timer to you? No? Oh well. Then I'm actually going to move this back a bit. Just anything that's kind of happening and going on, I want to kind of keep out of the way. So I'm not mucking about too much with that. So I need to do something else in the meantime. Certainly plenty of sort of non-Japanese options. Let me pull down my manga cookbook and flip through, see what else I can make. I could certainly do usagi ringo, rabbit-shaped apple slices. We've done that before. Can't really do tamago tomodachi because I need to hard-boil some eggs. Or taco sausages, don't have any of those sitting around. Nothing that's rice-based. I don't know. So I could definitely do the sliced apples. I could just make some cookies, frankly. Hey, Gorilla. So the mochi is still, it's in there, and it's kind of doing its thing. I actually might end up resetting that timer because the steamer hasn't started yet. Yeah, let me do that. I'm gonna pause the timer. It's steaming my mochi dough because if I'm supposed to steam it for 20 minutes, but I'm seeing no activity in the steamer, like it takes time for that water to steam, to boil. I should wait until it starts. So let's see here. Rice burgers using steamed rice, but I have this like day-old rice or multiple day-old rice. Cooked rice in a plastic baggie, and then you kind of fry it. Yeah. Minced pork and eggs, not much else. So yeah, so I could do. I could certainly do usagi ringo, cut up some apples into the shape of a rabbit, which would be cute. I've got a whole bunch of apples over there. Or I could make just like some shortbread cookies. I think I'm going to do that, actually. Let me start the oven. I will need... there we go. I will need use of the mixing bowl again, though, so I've got to clean that. So I'm just going to throw some water down there. Whoops. And start cleaning off those implements so I can use them for some cookies. One thing I like about basic cookies is that I don't even need a recipe. Like, I know in my head what I want for those, so I can just kind of go. A basic shortbread is just basically 3 ingredients. That makes it really easy. Okay, so right now I'm just rinsing out and washing out those the bowl of the stand mixer and the mixer itself. Hot water and dough are not friends. So if you just soak a bowl that has some dough in it for a little bit in hot water, it will tend to completely dissolve that dough, which it has. So you can see I now have a nice clean bowl. I'm actually going to use some paper towels on this because I am putting food in there and I want this to be nice and clean. The problem with cloths like this is they do pick up little micro bits of food as you're drying things. You can never be entirely sure that you've gotten every bit of food off something, so you might get a little bit of oil or a little bit of something else on that. Flour, butter, sugar. Exactly. Those are cookies. So I'm keeping an eye. I'm not seeing any activity from the rice cooker yet. So I'm holding off. Let me just look at that. Yeah, the water isn't even moving yet. So I'm glad I paused on the on that. All right. So actually, let's go ahead and bring this back in. And one of the reasons I'm doing this, even though we're doing sort of Japanese cooking here, is because a lot of Japanese cooking, like the Japanese sweets, will involve Western style cuisine, cakes and such. So I don't feel like I'm too wildly out of too wildly off brand when I'm doing this. You know what I should do? One more modification. That's getting hot, so I really can't. All right. So we'll get there, but I'm going to start with a scale and a bowl. So what I've got here, let me show you, is I've got a mixing bowl on top of a simple digital scale. And the reason for that is twofold. One is that scales are more precise. If you're measuring by weight, you can get down to the individual gram. But also it reduces the number of dishes you have to do, because you can mix everything right in your mixing bowl or your other vessel, and you're not having to measure things into spoons or cups and so forth. You just measure it right there. So I need sugar, butter, and flour. And the ratio is, for however much sugar you have, you want twice as much butter and 3 times as much flour. So 1 part sugar, 2 parts butter, 3 parts flour. And the easy way to remember that is, if you're dealing with, if you imagine a dough recipe, if you imagine you're making any sort of cookies or cakes or whatever, there's a lot of flour that goes into that, right? There's always a lot of flour. So flour is going to be your main ingredient. Sugar, when you heat it up, dissolves. And it becomes like a liquid, right? It acts like a liquid, like caramel. If you put sugar in a saucepan and heat it up, it will melt. So will butter, but butter is also a fat, so it works a little differently. So that sugar, you want to think of more like a liquid in this sense. So you have, your flour on one end, your sugar on the other end is sort of a liquid, and then your butter in between, which is the fat. And that fat is going to kind of keep things together. So you want your fat to be the middle thing, the sugar to be the smallest amount, because you don't want a lot of liquid in this or they'll run all over the place and become liquid, right? So that's kind of the way of thinking about that. So let's go back to our bowl. And the other convenient thing is, for most of us, we get our butter in very standard sizes. So we can use this as the medium point. So we're going to need half as much sugar as butter and 50% more flour than this, right? So that's a starting point. So I'm going to take this butter, put it right in, and it actually says on the package, this is 4 ounces, or 113 grams of butter, which means we're going to go by ounces, since those are easily divisible. We want 2 ounces of sugar as a base point. Although, I'm also using sugar for the mochi, and I don't have too much sugar left. So, I have maybe enough for the sugar. So I'm going to actually experiment and play around a bit. Because I happen to have a couple of alternatives. In this case, I have some sugar in the raw. which is unprocessed sugar. It doesn't have all the molasses essentially worked out. Some of it, but not all of it. So I'm going to put in, if I can, because this is obviously, you can hear how much this is clumped up. Hello, Oman. Good to see you. My rice cooker's fine. It's just slow to heat up. Like, I'm starting to hear some stuff from it now. So let me just knock the sugar into the sink. That's good. Yeah, I'm starting to hear some movement there, but no actual bubbles. So like I said, I need 2 ounces of sugar. I have half an ounce now. May have to break it. Oh, there we go. 2 ounces. A little more, actually. Cool. And now I'm going to go ahead and put that in the stand mixer and beat those together. Now you'll notice I have not melted the butter at all. It's because in baking, generally you want your fats to be as cold as possible. So they haven't broken down yet. If you melt fats, then they're different chemically, right? So it's gonna be loud and nasty. That raw sugar is much more crystalline, much larger crystals, sugar crystals. If I were mixing this by hand or with a hand mixer, in other words, with a hand motorized mixer or by hand, I would need to soften the butter. But with a nice stand mixer, I don't need to. This stand mixer will nuke it. Not in the heat sense, but it will cut all that sugar into all that butter. So what I'm trying to do is I'm waiting until I have no more lumps of butter, but instead that sugar is worked all the way through the butter. And I have a much softer, more even thing. Although it looks like that's kind of clumped up. Yep. It's clumped up around the beater, which means it hasn't had a chance to actually mix. So I've got to scrape that down a bit. There we go. So I've got some clumps in here. But it's much more even than it was. And I don't know how... Okay. Yeah, I don't know how far I can go with this just because of the nature of that sugar. The large sugar crystals are not going to incorporate as evenly or as fully, I would imagine, as the smaller sugar crystals of a regular sugar. Table sugar. We'll do it a little longer. Yeah, sugar in the raw tastes different. Definitely. These will undoubtedly be crunchier. Very crunchy. Alright, that's about as good as I can get. So now, I'm going to move this away for a moment. I can't rest it on this because it's starting to heat up. And now we go back here. So again, if we had 2 ounces of sugar and 4 ounces of butter, that means we need 6 ounces of flour. So I'm going to reset my, oops, not there. Reset my scale. And I'm going to measure it. And one of the nice things about a digital scale is you can reset it back to 0, no matter what's in there. So I'm putting in, that's 5. Now I got to think. So if I use less sugar, if I use less flour, it's going to be more wet, more soft, which I might want. I also add an egg to make it softer. Although I probably want just like half an egg, like a yolk, with this much dough. This is not going to be a lot of cookies. Ah, good. So the oven's technically at temperature. Let me check my steamer. Yeah, we're starting to get some heat there, but not much. So do I want this much flour? Do I want more flour? Do I want it to be more hard? No, I'm gonna stick with this. Let's see what folks are saying in the chat room. Maybe make it harder so the crunch from the sugar won't be as drastic. That's not a bad idea. Let's do that. Let's go with 7 ounces of flour. Heck. I'm just gonna be experimental here. I also want something else in here. I actually probably should have added the flavorings before this. But I'm also going to add some salt at this point. Everything tastes better with a little bit of salt. Just amps up the flavor. Then I'm going to look. I have some flavorings in here, vanilla extract, etc. So I have vanilla extract, orange extract, imitation strawberry extract, and coffee extract for making like a coffee ice cream and such. I don't think I want coffee flavored cookies. Strawberry wouldn't be bad. The crunch. Or the vanilla. Nothing wrong with that. I think I'm gonna do some. I don't know. I think of doing orange. I just kind of like the idea of orange for this. Yeah, we'll give that a try. Okay, but first we need to mix this back in. So we have everything measured out. So that's good. So now we just need to mix her up. You may make multiple batches here just because of how much, how long it's going to take to steam these things. Okay, I'm trying to get some condensation on the top of the steamer. So I'm going to start our timer on steaming those. 20 minutes. Okay, good. That's going. Then we switch back. So here's the bowl of our mixer. And you can see it's got a bunch of more flour in there. And the salt. So I'm going to put that in there. Raise it up. Start very slow so the flour doesn't go everywhere. And then slowly increase the speed. Plan for Thanksgiving. I will be with my family, fortunately. We have some friends who are putting on a big Thanksgiving shindig, and so I'm going to go down for that. My first year doing that. We'll see how that turns out. Smells good. So with the butter being so cold, this is not going to want to come together very easily. So this is going to take a little while. And we are making basically like a shortbread dough, a very stiff dough. You're going to expect this to take a while. It's going to be mostly flour for a few minutes. How about you guys? What are your plans for Thanksgiving? If you celebrate such things in your neck of the woods. So yeah, I'm seeing some, it's mostly flour. There's some chunks now getting worked into that. But nothing like a dough yet. I can scrape this down at some point. But it seems to be doing its thing. Meanwhile, I will put some things away. Don't need this bowl anymore. I'm setting the oven to like 375, 350, which is a normal temperature for cookies. Alright, I've now got like a rough but even texture here, so it almost looks like breadcrumbs at this point. You can see that. Certainly not a dough yet, though. And now, oh yeah, okay, I do need to scrape this down. Can I dry? No. I'm going to dry off that spatula, because again, this this flexible spatula really lets me get into those corners, which is really useful on a dough like this to get all of those spots. All those edges go all around everywhere. There we go. Okay. Once it starts coming together, I'm going to add the orange extract. I think I can do it now. I'll do it now. I'm just going to eyeball it. Oh, come on. Let's try that. It's kind of spilled everywhere. I might have to throw this out. Oh no, there's some left. Enough left for use in another thing. There's not really enough liquid there for it to have an effect on this dough coming together. Yeah, I can smell some orange there. It's still basically breadcrumbs. So I'm hoping in the next minute or two this will come together as a dough. It always does eventually. Get up a notch. That's something. It's definitely faster, but it is not coagulating yet, so to speak. Interesting. Perhaps that sugar is just too big. Those crystals are just preventing the dough from coming together. Pull it down a bit. Interesting. I would not have thought that would have such a strong impact on the dough. So if I turn this off and just grab it and squeeze it together, and it does hold together. That might be doable. No, it's still just too wet. Okay. It's frankly probably too much flour. You add the extra ounce of flour, and that combined with the crystals, and I don't even know if the crystals are the problem. But they seem to be blocking formulation of a dough. So I can just add some more butter into this. That would do it. Then I'll give it a little while longer. See, that's starting to... Okay, we're starting to get somewhere. Yeah, okay. I'm going to slow down. Pull stuff off the side. Yeah, okay, now it is now starting to form a dough. Okay, good. We just needed some extra time. I say that, but now it's not actually doing it. It was sticking to the sides rather well. But now that I broke that up, it's just not doing it. Huh. I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised. Alright. Not the end of the world. Have a little extra butter here. I'm going to throw in. It's not going to mix very well, but it'll help. I'm going to try to break that up into pieces before it goes in. Ooh. There we go. I don't think that'll be enough. That's probably an extra, like, half ounce. Maybe? We'll start there. see that's enough. You'll see if that's enough fat to pull it together into a dough. Would I bake as much without the mixer? Probably not. I baked for quite a while without a stand mixer, but it does make a huge difference. Yep, that's starting to clump. Keep on. And scrape it down one more time. What do we got there? It is it's way too crumbly, but perhaps it needs more butter than this, even. Let's just really whip it good. It's looking slightly better, but it's still pretty crumbly. Larger pieces now than before. I'm gonna add more butter. Like it clearly needs some more butter. Interesting. That's significant. I mean, that's a little more butter. Maybe a tad more than that, even. Okay. Let's see what that gives us. And also, since I've been beating this so much, I'm going to add a little more orange extract. All of this mixing has probably beaten a lot of the extract out of it. That's it. There we go. Now that's looking like a dough. Still fairly loose, but here's what I've got now, and that's more like what I expected it to be. It's still, I mean, it's quite soft, but it's not falling apart the way that other stuff was. Good, okay. So now, let's see how much I can actually show this to you right here. The dough is steaming nicely. I can see it acquiring like a sheen. Now, we're going to see how this is going to work. So, I'm going to grab a sheet, and I'm going to add some parchment paper to that sheet. I'm going to wash my hands. It's been a little while. I'm going to do it out of the way of the pan. Then I'm just going to measure out. Actually, I'm probably just going to scoop out dough and just put it on the pan, on the sheet rather. Yeah, the stand mixer definitely helps a lot. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go too complex on this. Again, I do like to be precise as where possible. So I could measure these out and scale and put them on a scale and make sure they're exactly a certain amount. But for this, I'm just going to use a cookie scoop. So you can see that. There we go. Or an ice cream scoop. We use that. And I'll fix these in a minute in terms of making them just the right size and shape and so forth. It does not feel gritty, for what it's worth, the dough itself. See how many of these I get. I'm actually getting more than I'm used to, because again we have the extra flour and a little bit of extra butter. So I normally get, I think, 9 or so out of this dough. 9 or 10. Whoops. And I'm definitely getting more of that. But the thing is, these do not spread significantly. So I don't need a huge amount of real estate on the baking sheet. So we will get, I think, 2 more here. One there. Yeah. Actually, just scoop that out. Okay. They might come out super fluffy. They might. That's very true. All right, so I'm going to take each one of these and just smash them a little bit. I do see some grain in them, which is interesting. So you can see the speckled aspect of that that sugar in the raw. About 5 minutes to go on steaming the rice. Or steaming the mochi, rather. Like I said, these should not spread noticeably. So I'm not worried about these going all over the place on the sheet. So I'm just squeezing these into a patty. Trying to make them fairly flat. This is a pretty stiff dough, so we don't get spread. So if I left them circular, they would try to bake more or less circularly, which would not work because you don't have enough surface area visible out. So they would get all burned on the edges before they actually cooked on the inside. So you need to make them discs rather than spheres. But now that we've done that, we have some options. We have some things to think about. So I could add some colored sugar to these. I could sprinkle. Unfortunately, I don't have any. But I could otherwise just kind of add something interesting to these. So let me go ahead and look around at what I have. And of course, these will go in the oven, so I can't just put a slice of orange on there or something. It would curl up in craziness in the oven. But let's see here. Do I have anything that I would want to sprinkle on and add on? I could dust them with cocoa powder. Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Haven't seen that done before. Although I don't know if that'd be better before or afterwards. It'll be unsweetened. Let me try that. I actually have some Dutch cocoa powder, which is stronger. It's processed differently. So what I'm going to do with this, actually... Oh, boy, that's charcoal black. I'm going to try something. Again, I have no idea how this is going to go. But I'm going to take a spoon and get some of this stuff. Yeah, it looks like charcoal. And yeah, this is Dutch process. Wow. Shoot. I'm trying to sprinkle a little bit over here, but it doesn't really want to sprinkle. It's not really a sprinkling powder. Okay, get that off. Yeah, I've now added charcoal to my cookies. That's unfortunate. I just want to see what that does in the oven, though. I'm willing to try. I'm not going to do all of them. But might be interesting. Yeah, sprinkle the actually on the cookies. I'm hoping as it bakes, they will spread out a little bit. The cocoa, that is, it will sort of seep into the cookies, and so it'll look a little more interesting than that. Who knows? But now in they go. And I'm just going to bake these until they start to brown. Again, nothing specific to that. But those are some basic shortbread cookies that we'll try to make work. And then, as usual, I will throw dishes in there and try to get those working now. At least get them soaking. This week's been a kind of a fun week. It was a quiet one in the office, especially with the lead up to Thanksgiving, but in general with just what our students were doing. But I was able to get some fun stuff done. And then I've actually been trying to get all the way through all of my stack of DVDs and Blu-rays that I bought and never finished. You know, I think we've all had that where we've collected media, maybe put things on a Netflix queue or a Crunchyroll queue, and never actually finished them. I'm trying to get through that. So, if I keep at it, then hopefully I will have, have all of my DVDs and Blu-rays watched by the end of the weekend. So that'll be pretty awesome. Okay, you're just going to throw. Some things just don't want to cooperate. Alright. So, we have about 30 seconds to go on the dough. We need to mix it in a bowl. I'm probably just going to use the bowl of the rice cooker for that. Don't see why not. So, I've been watching a variety of random things. So, Jubei-chan the Ninja Girl. Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere, which was great fun. What else? Gosh, in the middle of Windy Tales, anime from I think 2003, very distinctive visual style about people with kind of wind powers and wind abilities, but very slice of life. Ooh, there we go. All right. Oh, that's hot. I tried to pick it up right where the steam was coming out, which is not a good idea. All right, that looks like mochi thing. Awesome. Okay, good. I'm very happy. So, that is definitely what I expect mochi dough to look like. So with this, we're going to add 2 cups of sugar to this. In a pot, okay. Right? So, let me put on the gloves. This is going to be real hot. That's right, so that's good, actually. So, let me turn the burner on. They say over low to medium-low heat. I'm just going to go in here. Hopefully. How can I get... Okay, that's a problem. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to dump that into the pot. Maybe, hopefully. No, I'm not. All right, hold on. This would be a lot easier than it is. Do I have... all of my stuff is in the sink. All right. So I'm just having to scoop this out. All right. Gosh. Hold on. This is not what I thought it would be. So, I'm trying to scoop this stuff, and it's very hot, out of the thing into the thing. Ooh, it's not very, I mean, it's sticky on the side, but not on the middle, but maybe that's okay. Presumably the heat, ow. Okay, this is not working very well. Alright, I'm gonna need to clean off this. One moment. I need to clean my spatula, my flexible thing, so that I can use that to get this out of here. I assumed that it would just sort of flop out of the dough, out of the bowl, into there, but that is not what's happening. And the problem is everything's hot. So I can't just sort of hold something with my fingers and then, you know, let it go. All right, come on. This in here. Try to get all that in there. And so to this, we're going to add sugar. A lot of sugar. 2 cups of sugar. Okay. Get that on the stove. All right. So now, hopefully that'll start heating up. I can... Yeah, this is a... All right. So that is a step in the process. It is complicated. And it needs to be carefully handled. Okay. Then what they want me to do is 2 cups of sugar. So I'm going to measure that out into this. I'll adjust our angle here in a minute. I just got the mochi there. Okay, yeah, that's most of my sugar. To go out and get some more here in a moment. Or, you know, not like right now, but soon for me, in a day or 2. All right, so that's a little more than 2 cups of sugar. I'm going to add a bit more back in. Okay, yeah. We do that. I'm going to need to... I'll need to use the spatula, I just realized, to mix this. Can't think of anything better. Yeah. Definitely need a spatula. And hopefully the mochi is not burning on the bottom. Man. This is a lot more complicated than I thought it would be. You know. Put in pan. Add sugar. Okay. So, when that's in there, so we're going to add about 1/3 of this sugar. That's roughly a third. We're going to mix those together. Let me adjust our viewing angle. There we go. And so apparently you want to mix all of these together. Right now it's just sugar and dough. But I'm assuming as I mix, yeah, I've got some that definitely stick to the bottom of the pan. So we'll see what that does. But it is incorporating in and dissolving in. So I will continue doing that. That looks incorporated, so we're going to add another 1/3 of the sugar and continue that process. And then when all the sugar is in, then basically apparently we just pull it out, put it onto a sheet pan that we've covered with cornstarch, or in my case, potato starch. Potato starch is technically what you're supposed to use, but a lot of recipes online say cornstarch because the average person doesn't have any potato starch. Okay, so there's all that sugar. Again, it's a lot of sugar. And I'm just continuing to mix that in until it's all mixed in. And then we should have a dough, very hot dough, very sticky dough, that we can then shape and do something with. Okay. That is not really a dough. That is a bunch of wetness. That is, gosh, interesting. And cook some more until the sugar is dissolved. Take the time to melt the sugar, but be careful not to burn it. Take it from the pot of a sheet pan. So I'm going to mix this a little bit more because I want to make sure that that sugar is completely incorporated and dissolved. And actually, I'll give it a moment just here cooking while we prepare the pan. And I'll put some parchment on this pan as well. Actually, maybe just some wax paper. don't need to use up wax paper for this, or parchment for this. Okay, there's some parchment. And again, we're going to dust some potato, which needs to... need to open the bag. Always something... Oh, no, okay, there's the opening thing, which... Okay, that kind of works. I'm just going to throw some of this potato starch onto there. We'll start with that. Okay. Okay. So this is apparently now it. Onto a sheet band of cornstarch. Shape as you like. Okay, so I have dusted this liberally with our starch. I'm going to spread that around a bit. And I'm going to dump this out onto the pan. So this does look like something, but it's awfully, awfully wet. Like, this is not something I can actually shape into, shape into something. Let me put some hot water into that pan before it goes anywhere else. And then I'm just going to start basically sprinkling. Ooh. Tastes great. I'll give it that much. I'm going to sprinkle a bit on top. It's very clumped. Very clumpy. And then see if I can, like, take that up and do something with it. It's way too hot. All right, let's give it a moment to cool down. I do have some red bean paste here, so let me get that open. This is a can of red bean paste. The traditional filling for mochi. Right. But again, this is not even taffy. It's just so wet and hot. You know, it's just falling apart as soon as I try to do anything with it. I can't even turn it into something. So again, I'm going to add more. Ow. I'm going to sprinkle more cornstarch, and maybe as I sort of incorporate cornstarch into this, it'll start. Ow, no, that's lava. Man. Okay. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's 80% sugar. It does not look like it's going to firm back up. Now, obviously here, I can basically add cornstarch to this and just keep working cornstarch into it, and that will firm it up into something, but not necessarily like mochi. Okay. Man, this stuff is sticky. So I'm just trying to clean off the rubber spatula, and this stuff does not want to come off. I mean, hot water does the trick, but still, it's very, very sticky. So I'm wondering if I can use the spatula to kind of mix in some of this cornstarch. I have seen recipes where you just lay this out in a pan and cut it almost like Jello or like Turkish delight. Yeah, that's still way too soft to do anything with. It's got a fairly it's a little lumpy. Excuse me, it's a little lumpy. So I probably could have mixed it better. It is mostly sugar at this point. Is the overwhelming flavor. A little bit of the rice in there. All right, let's just add more potato flour. Just gonna sprinkle more on there. Again, I would probably need to sift this if I wanted to really do something with it. See if I can work some of that potato starch into this, and hopefully that will start to firm it up into something I can actually work with, and maybe cooling it down also. Maybe when it's cooler, it'll be easier to work with. Yeah. But right now, I mean, you can see how, well, no, you can't. I mean, you can see how wet this is. This is not a dough I can actually shape. And what I saw is a very wet dough, no question, but not this. Not like this. Well, this is disappointing. Again, there's nothing in the instructions about waiting, 10 minutes for this to cool down or anything. It should be that you move it onto the pan, and you use the cornstarch to be able to, move it around a bit, so it won't stick to the pan or whatever. But that it should be something you can actually manipulate, like a dough. You should be able to, wrap azuki paste over this, red bean paste. But I can't. It's also just so hot. Yeah, like that's. I can't wrap that around something. It just sticks. I just, like, I can technically spread that out over something, but that's just gonna fall everywhere. Okay. So what am I missing? What am I missing? Put in freezer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool it down maybe? Maybe. The freezer's gonna be a bit of a shock though. Oh, the cookies. Shoot. Let's check the cookies. Okay, yep, they're about ready. Good. I could smell the cookies start to, they're not near burned, but I can smell that browning. I'm gonna take that out. Chocolate does not look much better than it did before. But, well, that was not very smart, was it? No, it was not. I now have like 8 cookies on the floor. Not a single one survived. Okay. Alright. I have like 3/4 of one left. That'll go over there to cool. Whoops. So that's not something you should do. You see, cookies will slide off if you try that. Yeah. Oh well. So this is a great night for cooking. Oh boy. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to freeze that. Unfortunately, so my freezer is very narrow. So I can't just slide this into there. How much I can slide into there. So what do I have that's and how much I have is like a dish that is freezer safe per se. I'll just put it in a. Just grab like a Tupperware container. I'm just gonna throw it in that. There we go. So that's just in the Tupperware. Going in the freezer. And again, here we're not trying to. Yeah, boy, I feel smart. I went to college, so that's a problem there. Let me turn off the oven too. I don't need the oven anymore. There we go. So yeah, that exactly. This has been a wonderful night. So let's give it a little time in the freezer, see what happens. Let's make more cookies. Hey, no. But I will take the time to clean up. And the reason I'm not annoyed is that this is an experiment, right? I don't have friends coming over in 20 minutes. I'm just playing around at this point. So I can afford to lose a few things. Cleaning up the cookies on my carpet is going to be annoying. But that's just life. So, okay. Oh, I'm going to have a drink after this, I think. So, don't need this anymore. Okay. That's, ooh. Turn off the steamer. Steamer is still pretty hot. So I unplugged it just in case. And put these away. That's off. I'm going to actually open the oven a little bit so that heat can escape. Put some of these things back. Again, just trying to clear some space for convenience's sake. So as we play around with stuff, we're not constantly having to move stuff around or otherwise rearrange. Boy, so hopefully a few minutes in the freezer will cool that down. Yeah, I want to see the mochi work too. But hopefully a little time in the freezer will help. We'll see. To firm that up and then wrap it around our adzuki beans. This is just, again, it's actually not quite a paste yet. It's still, you can see the beans in there. So I might actually want to blend that perhaps. So it's mashed, but not anything. But maybe that's not a paste. Okay, so this is mashed. Okay, actually this is not adzuki paste. So I would want to actually blend that. That's fine. I can just use a stick blender. That's the thing. You never know what's going to happen. We're all experimenting and trying stuff. So here's the problem. I keep wanting to check the mochi in the freezer, but I know that 60 seconds in the freezer is not enough to actually chill it down significantly. We'll need a bit more time. Meanwhile, yeah, let's check the ingredients again. Really dusted, shape as you like. Yeah. This is based on a recipe this is the recipe from Japanese Cooking 101, which is a really good website with Japanese cooking recipes, or Japanese cuisine recipes. Very easy to make. It's done by two Japanese natives who moved to the U.S. I like them a lot, and I like their recipes a lot. But unfortunately, some of them are a little. They don't go into a lot of detail about the specifics of what something should look like at a particular point. They usually do, and the nice thing is they usually have a video recipe and a text recipe, so you can kind of follow the video thing and then have the text one to refer to while you're cooking. But we definitely have a bit of an oversight on this one. But I did watch their video on this one, and when it came out, again, it was similar in consistency to that, but more like a dough, more something you could actually fold and stretch and move into something. A washed mochi never never firms. That is true. All right, so let's see. Okay, it's cooler now. It's definitely cooling off significantly. It's like room temperature right now in the freezer, when it was pretty warm when it went in. So we'll give it a few more minutes. How's this cookie? Still pretty warm. I'm going to give our lone survivor a few more minutes before I actually consume it and see how the orange turned out. I can smell some nice orange from that, so I'm happy about that. So this is our final week in Japanese Cuisine Week for Hobby Hopper. So we try to do a new hobby every week, and we've been doing Japanese recipes this week. I'll probably post a video sometime in the next, probably tomorrow, so we can vote on our next hobby and try something else out. I will probably make more Japanese things moving on. Sushi was surprisingly easy to make. What else? Chicken katsu, surprisingly easy. Miso soup is ridiculously easy. So I'm probably going to return back to Japanese cooking here and there. But now I know that some of these things are really easy, and some of them require a little bit more expertise, a little bit more practice to actually get it down. Such is life. That is the way of things. Last of the cookie hikins. Yep. Very, very sad. But that's life. Sometimes you're the only one that lives. Let me see if I can show you a close-up of one of those things. And that didn't work. What I should have done is dumped that cocoa powder into a sifter and sifted it over it. That would have looked nice. But it was just too clumpy to work otherwise. All right, let's check it again. All right, I'm actually going to pull this out just to see what the consistency is now. To see if that this helps tremendously. Yeah, it's not like lukewarm. It's, ooh, okay. Hoo-hoo! Ladies and gentlemen, this is a dough I can work with. Okay, so let me grab a spoon. That worked. Good thinking. Good thinking on the freezer there, Gorilla. Okay. And perhaps if I just let it sit out for, 20 minutes and cool down, it would have turned into this. But this is workable. Okay. So I'm gonna pull out, and I'm not gonna bother to paste this, I don't think. I'm just gonna pull out some, but I should. Dang it, I should. Alright. So I'm gonna move this away from the oven. That's not gonna help it cool down. I'm going to dump some of this into a bowl. Probably should have used a smaller bowl, but oh well. And then, I do believe I still have, don't I? Do I not? I don't. Well, shoot. Okay. Wait. There it is. Stick blender. Okay. Woo! That's right. Okay, that's a problem. Not really enough to blend. I'm just moving it around, basically. Okay. That is definitely much closer to a paste. So we might be able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat here. Not incredibly, you know, not a paste, but better than what we had before. All right. Oh, duh. Gosh. Range was still on. Okay. I think what I want to do is add some more wax paper. I'm going to use some parchment. Yeah, let me grab... I'm grabbing some of the parchment from before. Then I'm going to grab some dough. Yeah, that's firming up nicely. Oh, wow. Okay. And then I'm just going to work that together with my hands. Add some more flour. Yeah. This is a dough. Then we'll add some paste. No idea how much. Just going to go with that. And then pull it out and do this with it. I think that's mochi. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely stiffening up. Dramatically. Okay. Right. Part of the problem is my fingers are still a little sticky. That isn't helping. So we're just kind of spread that out. Put the paste in the center. And then I'm just going to fold that out. Put it out and over. And just kind of pinch it in. Yeah. So one of the interesting things is, as you can see, like it's very dark. As soon as I pinch it in, it starts to go very thin on the other side. Let me get this stuff off my fingers. So I don't quite know how to make this work. Less filling, more dough. Yeah. I like that idea. All right. So that's a good amount, feels like. As soon as you get any of this stuff on your fingers, it just sticks. All right, I'm just going to moosh that together. Just really, really work it. Okay. Now it's sticky. Yeah, so that's a problem. Ooh. Now it's getting too sticky. I think I worked it too much. Okay. A little bit of paste. And I pull that. Need more starch. I put the starch away. Dang it! Wasn't thinking about that. That was not smart. Okay. You see, the problem is, if it's sticky, then your hands get sticky, and then your fingers just pull it apart. Just tear it to pieces. So I'm trying to just rub this right off. Isn't working. Okay. I'm going to pull that off. Try to spread out the dough. I may need to coat my hands with the potato starch. Put in a little bit. And then, no, it's just, see, it's sticking to my fingers now. And so it's just, see, it actually tore out. So now this is just now it's just mixing it in. Okay, that's a failure. That has to go away. All right. I'm not giving up. I may not make every single one of these into mochi, but I'm going to make a few more. So, ow, hot water. Okay. This off. I'm going to add a bunch more potato starch off to the side. I'm going to get some on my hands and dust those with the potato starch. Then I'm going to grab a bunch of the mochi. I'm going to form that into a ball. I'm going to actually add some more potato starch to that and form it into a ball. I'm going to add more potato starch to my hands. Okay. That looks more like mochi. I'm going to spread this out. I'm going to grab a little bit of the paste, put it in the center, and then I'm going to pinch that together. All right. I think, despite getting a little bit on the outside, that's more like mochi. Grab some more. Every time I do this, I realize I need to spread it out more when I start. So let me make this nice and spread out. Grab a little bit of the adzuki, put it in the center. Maybe a bit more. And then fold it in. Still feels like I got way more on the bottom than on the top. Right? Like that's not at all even. But who knows? Oops. My fingers are too sticky. Okay. A bit more. Let's add some more dough to this. I think you were right. More dough, less filling. And we're going to flatten that out. Let me see if I can't just sort of squeeze the edges so they're thin, so that when I add the paste to the inside, just a little bit, even that is maybe too much. When I pull it around, yeah, that feels more right. Okay, we're learning. We're learning. That seems like about the right size. I'm not sure if adding all of this potato starch is just messing it up or not. But ultimately, this is what makes it workable. This has less filling. It's actually kind of falling apart. I think it will work. Let's see what that does. I'm very glad I stuck with this. Just a little teeny bit of the stuff. Again, pinching the edges. So the edges are nice and thin. So that when I fold it in on itself, those edges come together like a pouch. All right, a few more here. Try to really mix that into a full dough. Do a nice even dough. That's not a very even dough, but again, we'll see. Pinch it out on the edges. Get our bean paste. Doesn't seem like a lot. Let's add a bit more this time. We're going to pinch it in the middle. Oops. Pinch in the middle. And then pinch on the sides, pull it in, and then pinch that. There we go. Okay. Now we're getting down to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over. I could do ice cream, but I am I'm scared of that, to be honest. Like, I'm barely making this work. I barely figured this out. So I think all of these are going to be red bean. Yeah. We'll see how much effect this has. So again, next time what I'd probably do is make the dough and then just let it sit on the counter for maybe half an hour, like a really long time, and see if that just makes it come together. Do not know. Okay, pinch, fold, fold, and pinch, and then pinch that all together. Ooh, getting sticky. Oh, they're starting to spread. That's interesting. Didn't think about that. See if I can pull that one out a little bit. Yep, they're spreading a bit. Okay, yeah, this is the turnaround time. This is success here. I think I'll make 2 more. I probably have enough dough for, 1 or 2 beyond that, but then I'm really scraping it up. I'm trying to use every little scrap of dough, and that often does not end up with a really, you don't get a nice dough out of that. I'm just not good enough at this yet to figure that out. Okay. Yeah, doing those edges definitely helps. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Mochi. Sounds like an advertisement. Get this off. Ooh, that's a very, very sticky mochi. So they're still pretty sticky, I gotta admit. Okay. Yeah, a lot of it kind of stuck to the wax paper, and would be very difficult to get off. So this is probably going to be the last one here. Add some starch to the hands. Now the question is, how do you store mochi? Do you refrigerate them? I guess, I don't know. Just package them up in containers? I actually don't know. I'm not sure how well mochi keep, or what you need to do to keep them. Haven't looked that up. So this would be a bigger one. Actually, a bit more paste in there. It is, after all, a larger mochi. Whoop. 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 All right. Ladies and gents, no, I'm not going to do that with it, as you might imagine. But I do think, whoops, hello. That's weird. Sorry, I can't switch cameras for some reason. But I do believe we have mochi. So now the question is, do I try one? And the answer is yes. So one moment while I switch cameras. My technology is failing me. There we go. So this looks like a pretty firm one. So here we have, again, be very careful with this. Here's our mochi. And we're going to try it. If I lifted these up and told them to the camera, I would stop live streaming for the rest of my life. Like, that would be it. Like, the channel would be over, honestly. All right, obviously these haven't set yet, but let's see what we have. Interesting. It's okay. It's sugar. All I taste is sugar. It doesn't have the delicacy or the dough-like thing. There's a little bit of springiness to it. But I gotta be honest. It does not taste like the mochi I'm used to buying at the store. So, I think the secret here would be to back off on the sugar a little bit. This is a sweet mochi recipe, in fairness. So I do think that this is meant more as a candy. Like you would cut these up. So let's try this. I'm gonna take this mochi and just eat it. Yeah. Okay. So, mistake. This recipe is meant to be eaten, again, like taffy. You'd spread this out, let it come down to room temperature, cut it, probably dust it with potato starch, and just eat it in little morsels. I don't think it's meant to be made for regular mochi. So I think what you do is you'd do the same thing but add less sugar. So I think maybe instead of 2 cups, 1.5, maybe even 1 cup of sugar to this. I don't know how much you really need to make that work. I can definitely taste, now that I'm getting it all on my tongue, there's a little bit in the side of my mouth. I can taste that classic mochi dough feel to it, but it's just buried under all the sweetness. So, yeah, that's basically it. It's sugar. So, the good news is, this did turn into a workable version of mochi, and this also explains why it took forever for it to chill down. Because there's all that sugar in it, keeping it wet. Remember what we were talking about before? Sugar turns into and can act as a liquid. So it was making the dough incredibly, incredibly thin and sticky. So if we had taken that dough and just poured it into molds, we'd be done. You wouldn't need to form it into mochi balls. It also explains why this dough is kind of is not holding together as well. Why you saw like the brown started to seep through, because the mochi is sort of spreading out over the filling. It's not holding together. So that explains a lot. Yes, it is absolutely a success. This is mochi. We made mochi. It's just not quite the mochi we wanted. Now, the lone cookie. Very crunchy. Very crumbly. Not a bad thing. That's nice. It's actually quite nice. There's a little bit of orange flavor, just enough for you to tell there's a flavor there. Enough for your taste buds to seek it out and to go, oh, that's like a citrus. Oh, it's an orange. And the crumbly crumb combined with the crunch of the sugar is quite pleasant. A little different from a traditional cookie, but the kind of thing you would expect a cookie variety to have, right? It's not a strange cookie. It's just like, oh, this is, ginger snaps are this way, sugar cookies are this way, chocolate chip cookies are this way, these cookies are this way. Yeah. I'd happily eat more of these. So, I'll just have to collect all the pieces down there on the ground and eat them. So thank you all for joining me on this little culinary adventure tonight. It was full of ups and downs and twists and turns, but we eventually got somewhere. Let me show. Actually, no. Come on. There we go. Here's how our mochi turned out. I have a lot of dishes. Obviously, quite nice. No complaints there. You can see that the sweet mochi filling is starting to spread, or the sweet mochi dough is spreading more than regular mochi dough would. But again, I think that's just a matter of having less sugar in it. The recipe was a cup of the mochiko sweet rice flour, 3/4 cup of water, and then a total of 2 cups of sugar. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna try this again at some point. The only real downside is having to steam it for so long. But on the other hand, you're just letting that run, right? You don't have to really do anything much while that's steaming. You just put everything together, bring everything together in the in your mixer or whatever. And actually, that would have been very easy to just mix together by hand. And then you steam the dough, and you're kind of there. And then I guess you do have to add the sugar, but pretty easy recipe in terms of steps. Not too complicated. Rehydrate now after eating all that sugar. Exactly. Yeah. Gosh, I'm legitimately thirsty. All right, thanks all. This has been a great time. Be back next week with some other new thing to do. We'll see, but that'll do it for tonight. Thanks all. See ya. Bye.